Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and you know you done screwed up when you announce your departure from a company and the stock of that company skyrockets. We're gonna talk about Pete Parsons, who's was the CEO of Bungie. He was the CEO for like 10 years, and he's getting gone. And we're going to talk about that. I actually have a timeline of all of Bungie's F-ups ready to go. But he's getting gone. And yeah, apparently shareholders are pretty happy about that because Sony stock just rallied. It's doing well. Yeah, that's not a good that's not a good thing to happen. I am surprised he lasted as long as he did. I'm going to be honest. Bungie has been nothing but failure for the last decade. And this guy's been in charge, and I don't know what the future is. I mean, I think last I heard they were going to like roll Bungie into Sony Studios proper or something. It's a disaster, right? I mean, this is the studio that gave us Halo, but also not. It's basically wearing the skin suit, wearing the brand name of that studio. That studio no longer exists. But let's talk about this. This is kind of wild. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. I guess we'll talk about Pete Parsons leaving first, and then we'll talk about how good the Sony stock is doing because he's gone. Now, Bungie has been involved in a lot of controversy lately. The most recent controversy, I think it's the most recent controversy, is the stolen art assets from Marathon. That they actually lifted a bunch of artwork and the aesthetic off of a freelancer. I think they just went to like Deviant Art or something and just like lifted all the style, the graphics. I mean, right down to the damn patterns on some of the attire. It's pretty crazy. This comes from The Verge. Longtime Bungie head Pete Parsons steps down. Bungie's chief developer, Justin Truman, is taking over for now as CEO. Pete Parsons has announced he's leaving the company 1 decade after taking on the role. In an update on Thursday, Parsons wrote that he has decided to pass the torch. I don't think it was totally his decision. Parsons has worked at Bungie for over 20 years and led the studio through the launch of Destiny 2 in 2017, along with the release of its major expansion pack, The Final Shape. In 2022, Sony Interactive Entertainment purchased Bungie for $3.6 billion. That is money they will never see again. The studio has since contended with the layoffs of hundreds of workers and delayed its extraction shooter Marathon following lackluster alpha test feedback. In May, an artist accused Bungie of using their work in Marathon without permission, and that actually was proven to be true. And that delayed the game even further. We've been through so much together. We launched a bold new chapter for Destiny. Nobody cares about Destiny. Built an enviable independent live ops organization capable of creating and publishing its own games and join the incredible family at Sony, he writes. Truman joined Bungie in 2010, became the chief development officer in 2022. He says the team is currently heads down on Marathon and Destiny, adding that we'll have more to show you in both these worlds later this year. Yeah, maybe it'll be all original art for a change. That would be kind of nice. So they've had a lot of issues, and man, this just goes on. This is gamesindustry.biz has it, and it's just like insane. They have to bring this up though. They said during Parsons' tenure as Bungie CEO, IGN reported detailed claims of sexism, racism, and systemic discrimination. They talked about layoffs. They lost 17% Bungie's headcount last July. The reason they're laying people off, it's not because of Parsons. Well, I guess it would be because of Parsons in a roundabout way, but nobody's buying their shit. Nobody's buying their games. Nobody cares. It's Bungie. Like the Bungie we knew no longer exists, and it hasn't for a very long time. Just like it's just like Blizzard. Like they don't exist. And it's so sad to see this. And this is part of, I guess, becoming an adult nerd, right? I guess is you start to see all these brands. The brand is still around, but the product is not the same. The people are not the same. Sometimes a specific memory that you have, a good feeling that you have, if it was playing a certain game like in college or high school or whatever it was, that moment for you is always going to be frozen in time. But like a lot of times that company, those circumstances, it doesn't exist anymore. And, it's true. I mean, I kind of look at, we talk a lot about Disney on this channel, and I look at Disney as being a company like that, where the Disney I knew, the Disney I loved, the Disney I worked with for a number of years, it no longer exists. And that's okay. It's okay. Getting to a place where you can let go, and detach yourself, be like, look, I had great memories of playing Bungie games, Bungie Halo back in the day with my friends, but that Bungie doesn't exist anymore. And that's okay. We had good times. We can always go back and play the older Halo games, reconnect with friends that way. And same with Dungeons and Dragons. For me, it's like, it's definitely not the same game. I have really good memories of playing, the basic set, first and second edition with my friends. That game no longer exists. I mean, it does exist if you go buy the old books, but like the current iteration of D&D is not that anymore. TSR no longer exists, and it's sad. It is, but I've still got those memories, and I get nostalgic for that place and time. And I think a lot of times people get nostalgic for a place and time that a particular piece of pop culture just happened to be a part of. And so it's a bigger issue than just like, oh, the movies suck now, the comic books suck now. It's like, no, there's a lot of other things going on too. And I think people conflate that, right? I really think that we do. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately. I'm like, there are some good things coming out. There's some very bad things coming out. But I think in a lot of ways, it's like, it's not just that we want to roll back the clock and be like, okay, this company's, making stuff that I like again, but we also want to roll back the clock to a certain point in our lives. And that's kind of what I think about with Bungie and with, so many other, games, Blizzard, especially. I used to play so much Warcraft and so much Diablo too. And they just don't exist anymore. That company doesn't exist anymore. That's okay. I still have good memories of playing those games with my friends, but it is what it is. Anyway, that was a long, depressing thread, I guess. I just, I'm trying to get across it. Like, even if Bungie just would shut down tomorrow, it doesn't matter, because it's not the Bungie we all loved. It doesn't exist. Halo, as we knew it, doesn't exist anymore. Myth: The Fallen Lords. I fucking love Myth. Does anybody else remember Myth? God, I love that game so much. And they never did anything with it. It's probably a good thing they didn't do anything with it. But I used to play the hell out of Myth: The Fallen Lords, because I was a graphic designer in the late 90s. I had a Mac. We didn't have a lot of choices, but I could play Myth. And my God, I love that game so much. But yeah, they're talking about Marathon. They're talking about Sony's latest financials. Following Sony's latest financials, the firm's chief financial officer, Lin Tao, confirmed that Sony expects Marathon to launch within this fiscal year. I don't think anybody's going to buy it. It looks like it's going to be dead on arrival. Based on the progress, the autumn timeframe, we believe we can communicate when we will be launching Marathon. Looking at Bungie overall, Sony said the developer is becoming less of an independent subsidiary and instead is merging it into more PlayStation studios. Yeah, again, Bungie no longer exists as a brand. But the Bungie we knew no longer exists. It's kind of like Zingers, right? Hostess Zingers. They used to be Dolly Madison. Yeah, the new ones suck. They just taste like Twinkies with a little bit of coconut on them. The old ones, they were like soaked in fucking syrup. Like, you could choke a horse with the amount of like raspberry syrup that they had. God, they were so good, and they don't make those anymore. They're not like that. It says Zingers on the box, but it ain't a zinger in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Right? So there actually is another company that makes Mrs. Freshly's, and her zingers are better. And I prefer Mrs. Freshly's zingers. I'm just saying. Sometimes you can find alternatives that are better than the quote unquote real thing. At the time of the acquisition, we were offering a very independent environment. However, thereafter, we've gone through structural reform. Translation: Bungie didn't bring it. They didn't bring it. So he's getting gone. And they're gonna basically fold it into PlayStation Studios. Now, let's talk about this. Guess this is the point of the video, not my zingers. Zingers are actually my favorite cupcake, my favorite snack cake of all time. Old Zingers, Dolly Madison Zingers. Just putting it out there. Sony stock rallies as Bungie CEO departs. This isn't a very good look. Like, hey, I'm quitting. Cool. The stock's going up because you're quitting. I bet Cracker Barrel stock would go up if what's-her-face, Rachel Maddow Light, if she would quit. I bet the stock would go back up. Sony stock was up on Friday after the entertainment company revealed changes at one of its game development studios. This has come from Tip Ranks. Bungie CEO Pete Parsons has stepped down as leader and will depart the company. This comes after the studio's latest game, Marathon, was delayed indefinitely despite a planned release in September of 2025. I did not know it was delayed indefinitely. Just cancel the fucking thing at this point. The departure of Parsons marks the end of an era for Bungie in more ways than one. Parsons has been a longtime leader of the video game development studio, having served as the CEO since 2016. Marathon, a revival of one of Bungie's oldest video game series. I think I had that one for Apple II, come to think of it. I think not the Apple II, but I think I had it for my Power Mac, my beige box. That's what I used to do all my coding and my design on back in the day. It was delayed following an extremely negative backlash from gamers. Reception to a public test was negative, and the switch to a cyberpunk aesthetic over the military sci-fi settings in previous games wasn't well received. Doesn't help that they stole a whole bunch of the art. But yeah, stock went up. That's kind of crazy, right? It's like, man, could you imagine like if Disney is like, yeah, we just fired Kevin Feige. Oh my God, the stock just went up like $50. Because now there's hope for Marvel. You know, that would be kind of wild. We fired Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy on the same day. On the same day. And Disney stock goes up to like $212 or something. Record profits. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. There we go. Hey, Mrs. Freshly's. I'm telling you, if you like the old school zingers, Mrs. Freshly's. I forget what the Dreamies. I think they're called Dreamies. They taste like the old zingers. Just saying. There are games out there that taste more like Bungie than actual Bungie. So go find them, go play them, and you don't need this shit. So we'll talk later.
Attention, stupid humans. All orcs are evil, just like Gary Gygax and Professor Tolkien warned you. Series 1 of these orc enamel pins are on Kickstarter again for a very limited time. Pick your clan, join the Horde, and cause some mayhem. Go to badorcs.com. That's badorcs.com.